They are the unofficial co-parents, the pioneers of the family frontier, and the keepers of high expectations. From the moment they arrive, the eldest child occupies a unique psychological space, a world of firsts followed quickly by the weight of example. While the world sees them as high achievers and natural leaders, beneath that polished exterior often lies a complex internal landscape shaped by early responsibility and the sudden loss of their exclusive reign. We aren't just looking at birth order, we are looking at the blueprint of a personality forged in the heat of parental trial and error. This is the deep-seated reality of being the firstborn, the glory, the pressure, and the invisible scars of the experimental child. To understand the eldest child, we must first understand the concept of dethronement. For a period, they were the center of the universe, the sole recipient of every ounce of parental attention and anxiety. But then, the second child arrives. Suddenly, the firstborn is pushed aside from the throne. This shift creates a lifelong drive to regain that lost approval through perfection and achievement. They learn early on that love and attention are often linked to being good or helpful. They don't just want to succeed, they feel a biological imperative to be the reliable anchor of the family unit, often sacrificing their own spontaneity to ensure the ship stays upright. The eldest child is essentially the trial run for parents. Because the parents are learning on the job, the firstborn experiences the strictest rules and the highest levels of parental anxiety. There is no blueprint, so every milestone is hyper-analyzed. This environment breeds a specific type of perfectionism, a fixed mindset where the child feels they must be flawless to maintain the family's stability. They become the guinea pigs of discipline, often facing harsher consequences than their younger siblings will years later. This creates a personality that is highly risk-averse, preferring the safety of known rules over the uncertainty of creative rebellion. Often labeled as Type A personalities, eldest children frequently gravitate toward roles of authority. In professional settings, they are the ones who take charge when a project stalls, the ones who double-check the details, and the ones who feel a crushing sense of guilt if a deadline is missed. This isn't just a work ethic, it's a survival mechanism learned in the nursery. They are conditioned to believe that their value is equal to their utility. If they aren't being useful, if they aren't leading, they feel invisible. This drive makes them incredible CEOs and surgeons, but it also leaves them prone to burnout before they even reach 30. The phenomenon of parentification is perhaps the most defining trait of the eldest child's psyche. They are the third parent. When the actual parents are busy, tired, or absent, the eldest steps in. They tie shoelaces, mediate arguments, and keep the peace. While this fosters incredible empathy and competence, it often robs the child of their own childhood. They learn to suppress their own needs to cater to the needs of their siblings. In adulthood, this manifests as the rescuer, the person who constantly fixes everyone else's problems while neglecting their own emotional well-being, because they don't know how to exist without a crisis to manage. There is a silent resentment that often brews within the firstborn. They watch as their younger siblings enjoy a level of freedom they never had. The lax parenting that comes with the second or third child feels like an injustice to the one who had to follow every rule to the letter. This creates a reliability paradox. The eldest is so reliable that parents stop checking in on them, assuming they have it all figured out. This leads to a profound sense of loneliness. They are the strongest pillar of the house, but even pillars can crack under the weight of being the only ones who aren't allowed to fall apart. Psychologists note that firstborns tend to be people pleasers on a subconscious level. Because their early worth was tied to being the easy child or the helpful one, they struggled to say no. They are highly sensitive to parental approval, even well into their 40s and 50s. Every achievement is a quiet plea for their parents to look at them and say, "You did a good job." This pursuit of validation can lead to a life lived for others, where the eldest child chooses a career, a partner, or a lifestyle that fits the family's ideal rather than their own authentic desires. Relationships for the eldest child are often a mirror of their childhood dynamics. They tend to partner with people who need fixing or organizing, recreating the caregiver role they know so well. Alternatively, they may struggle with intimacy because they fear losing control. To an eldest child, vulnerability feels like a weakness that might compromise their ability to protect others. They are the ones who handle the finances, plan the vacations, and remember the birthdays, often feeling unappreciated while simultaneously refusing to ask for help. Learning to receive love without earning it is the greatest hurdle they face. The intellectual life of a firstborn is typically characterized by structure and logic. They are statistically more likely to have higher IQs, not because of genetics, but because of the tutor effect. By teaching their younger siblings, they reinforce their own learning. They are the keepers of the family history, the ones who remember the dates and the traditions. However, this focus on logic often comes at the expense of creative chaos. They may feel uncomfortable with messiness, both literal and emotional. Their mind is a filing cabinet, perfectly organized, but sometimes lacking the room for the wild, unscripted joy of life. When crisis hits a family, the eldest child is the first responder. They're the ones who keep their head while everyone else is losing theirs. This resilience is a double-edged sword. While it makes them incredibly capable in an emergency, it also means they rarely process their own trauma in real time. They delay their grief to manage the grief of others. They bury their fear to be the brave one. Over time, this emotional compartmentalization can lead to physical stress and a sense of detachment from their own feelings, as they have spent a lifetime prioritizing the collective over the individual. As they age, the eldest child often undergoes a midlife rebellion. After decades of being the responsible one, they may suddenly feel an overwhelming urge to throw away the script. This is a vital part of their psychological evolution, the moment they realize that the world won't end if they drop the ball. Healing for the firstborn involves embracing the inner middle child, the part of them that just wants to play, make mistakes, and be mediocre without apology. It's about shifting from being a human doing to a human being. Being the eldest is a life sentence of responsibility, but it is also a position of profound strength. You were the first to show the way, the first to brave the unknown, and the one who held the foundation together. To the firstborns listening, your value is not found in how much you do for others, but in who you are when you are doing nothing at all. You have carried the weight for long enough. It is okay to step down from the throne, to put down the lantern, and to let someone else lead the way for a while. Your story started with being the first, but it doesn't have to end with doing it all.